She thinking forward like blockchain, but I'm sitting thinking about the 4th grade. I was hitting on the margarina, visualizing all the packed arenas. I ain't had shit on my hands except Cheetos, that was the top. Back when Dwayne was the Rock.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode, Unfiltered Bachelor. I am your Unfiltered Bachelor, Blake Weather. How's everybody doing out in podcast land? I just want to thank everybody who's been tuning in throughout this Dave series. You guys are phenomenal. You guys know we all love Dave here, and we've been breaking it down all season. So today we're going to do something really awesome that we did with the Atlanta series, interviewing one of the actresses from the show. But before we get there, let me just go ahead and introduce my co-host from the mean streets of Denver, Colorado. It's Terry. Terry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Blake. How are you? I'm very excited for today's episode.
Bro, I'm geeking. I'm geeking.
I probably look so calm on camera, but I'm like, I'm so nervous. I'm glad people can see my hands right now. They're shaking. I can't hold anything.
I'm so geeking. We'll be having Jeff on in just a moment. He'll be joining us. But today, right now, in this moment, today is, I'll just date the episode. I always do this. August 20th. It's Friday. We have Gina Hecht, who plays Carol on Dave. Guys, you know her, you love her. Gina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
We had a couple of technical difficulties, but we're all here.
Yeah, just a few. It was very Carol of me, wasn't it? I mean, it was so Carol. How do I get on this thing?
Is it YG? Is he a Korean rapper?
Yeah, YG? Korean? Sounds like a Korean dish, right? I wonder what it would be.
Something with some noodles and some broth, I assume.
I was just going to say a noodle dish, maybe, I don't know, curry? Not sure.
Maybe a little bit of pork in there. I don't know what they're doing. The kids are doing. Gina, how are you? First of all, we're so excited to have you. How are you doing coming off like the whole season is out? It's over. It's done with. But It was amazing. How are you reeling afterwards?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm probably geeking out like you as a fan in terms of the series. It's just, I mean, I sit there and I watch it, and I can't believe I'm part of this majesty that is Dave. I mean, I just think it's one of the greatest shows out there. It's certainly one of the most creative, most fulfilling, most rewarding shows I've ever done. I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of great shows, but man, this is something special.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this real quick.
Okay.
Before we get into Dave, let's talk about Gina Hecht, the actress, coming up, doing what made you even want to do it? It's an interesting industry.
What made me want to do Dave, or just this industry?
The industry. Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
Just be an actress?
Yeah, Gina Hecht, the actress, the young actress coming up.
No, but does anyone really want to be an actor? I think most actors are just driven. It's not like, let's see, what career will I choose? I know, acting, it's so solid, and you always know you're going to be employed, and there's that steady paycheck, and if it doesn't work for this company, I'll just move over to this company. No, I mean, I find that most actors act because they are driven to do so.
Yeah, and you got the calling really early on. I mean, anybody can go through your IMDb and realize you have been just in all the things. You were in Mork and Mindy, geez.
But I mean, that's not even where it started. As with a lot of actors, I mean, it started, I think, for me. Well, I mean, I remember clearly at age 9. So my mom was a local actress in Houston, Texas, where I grew up. Okay. And I remember I was at camp one summer. I was 9 years old. And when I came home from camp, my mom was in a production of Bye Bye Birdie. And I went to see it. And I then went to every single performance from that point on. And I can't even tell you how long the run was because I was a kid and I don't really know. But I mean, it was probably for another, I don't know if it was another month. And I was there for every single show. First sitting in the theater, then standing in the back of the theater, then moving to backstage, looking at it from one side of the wings and the other side of the wings. And then I would watch this actress, wonderful actress, Sydney Rojo, who was playing Rose, and I would follow her. She would have to. So this was a small theater, the Alley Theater in Houston. It was very, very prominent, very well known, and very well respected. But it moved to a larger venue. But then it was in this small venue. And I remember for Sydney to leave one side of the stage, she would have to run around to make an entrance from the other side of the stage, like run around the outside of the theater. And I would just follow her. She would run out the door and I would follow her and watch her enter from another side. I just thought the whole thing was the most magical thing I had ever seen. And then at the very last show, they let me go on, as a lot of theaters do. They do these pranks at the last night, closing night, and they kind of do silly things and make people crack up and all this. Not very professional. You can't do it in the real world, but they did it then. But I remember they let me go on in some of the different numbers. Oh my God, I walked out in this dream sequence and I served the character of Rose. She went and she got this thing of poison in the dream sequence. And all I had to do was step on stage and hold out this tray. I stepped on stage, held out this tray, didn't think twice about it, walked off stage, and my knees were like jello, and I had this adrenaline shot like I was on friggin' cocaine or something. I mean, it was just, I just went, what was that? Yes, please. So I don't know, that's kind of how that
kind of
started.
the start of everything. Yeah.
That was it.
That's amazing. And so from there, like, it was just like you were hooked. You wanted to do all the acting things.
I was hooked, and I mean, I was hooked about the magic of theater, and then I started doing plays as a child, Aladdin, all the inappropriate things today that I shouldn't be doing, but I was doing because it was Houston, and it was, in the early 60s. So
we're me and Jeff are here in Austin, so we're not too far from Houston.
Oh, yes. Hey, Jeff.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late, and I'm more sorry I'm not wearing pink.
Well, it's okay. We'll accept you anyways.
Oh, I see.
Well, thank you.
Oh, how do we all kind of get into these rosy colors? I don't know.
Because we're all synced up, and Jeff is the oddball out.
I guess so. I mean, I didn't get a wardrobe suggestion. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's like Mean Girls. You can't sit here if you don't wear pink, type thing. All right, Gene. Well, I think it's an awesome, amazing story. And like, I think magic is the way you were describing it just sounded like, oh, that sounds magical. Like just to see the behind the scenes of this is actually people are seeing just the theater and they're seeing, but they don't see the behind the scene. Somebody running from one side of the theater to the other and coming in and making on the surface, everybody thinks it's it's just a normal performance, right? But really the amount of work that goes into it is I think that's what sounds captivating. You sold me on the captivation of that, if I'm quite honest.
Yeah, and also seeing the mistakes and watching how they had to work with them in that moment, live time, and how they just made it work. How something happened that was off. I knew it was off because I had seen it 25 times by then, but I also just watched how they dealt with it, and I yes, magical.
So much like how Jeff comes in, and then I just I'm like, you know what? It's okay.
Seamless. I like that.
Seamless. Yeah, exactly.
What was it like to be, okay, I've really just had a question about this because I know this was when I reached out to you very early on and I wanted to figure out more about you. I mean, I brought up Mork and Mindy. What was it like? I mean, to work Robin Williams? Are we kidding? R.I.P. to the man. But I had I would have had no idea. I didn't. My mom probably watched it. I didn't watch it. But,
sure.
What was that? I mean, tell me all about this. Let me geek out on your memories right now, Gina. Gina, tell me all the things.
Gosh, all the things. How many hours do you have?
All the hours.
All the hours. I don't have all the hours. Some of it. He was well, I mean, I don't want to keep using this word. He was magical. He was, it was like working with this pixie kind of. He had this impish, I don't know if that's the right word, quality to him. He was mischievous, but in a good way, not in a evil or bad way. Mm-hmm. He was obviously funny and silly. He was kind and sweet and gentle. He loved animals. He appreciated comedy and appreciated the brilliance of it and the putting it together. You would sometimes see him get a glimmer of, I saw this, you would see this twinkle in his eye, and he had the most twinkly eyes. It's almost like they had glitter in them or something. There was a spark about him. And you would see him get this idea. You just see it. You knew when he got it, and you weren't sure where you were going on this ride. But we would be in a scene, and mostly he followed the script. But every once in a while, after we shot it the way that it was scripted, they would then say, okay, try it another way. And he would start it, not sure where he was going, and then you would see him. It was just like snap. And I go, okay, where are we going? Where are we going right now? But he was great.
That's amazing.
He was great. Yeah. Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, you see him on especially that show, just like being so charismatic, and then you see him on the rest of all his roles, and just owning the room is just like kind of like he owns your eyeballs, and I'm just like I'm drawn. I'm just a big Robin Williams fan too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he did. He owned any space he was in. I mean, amazing. But once again, it wasn't in an oppressive way, I guess, unless you were a stand-up who was following him. that would have been pretty oppressive and intimidating.
That'd have been intimidating, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been like, Robin's going on before you. I'm like, well, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go home tonight, so.
Yeah. I mean, we would do the show. So we would rehearse Monday through Thursday, camera block on Thursday, do the show on Friday, shoot it in the afternoon, can't remember, I think we did two different audience tapings, do pickups after that. And then after that, the evening began. And we would go to the Comedy Store, and then we'd go to the Improv, and then we might go back to the Comedy Store. We might go to, and when I say we, it was a bunch of us. It wasn't just, I mean, I wasn't dating him or anything,
Right. No. Yeah.
But we with the group would go.
The cast. Yeah. The cast.
To these different. Not everyone, but there was a group of us that would, go and actually Jim Stahl, who was one of the cast members of Mork and Mindy, was also in an improv group that Robin would hop into and jump into there, and they would just kind of. I mean, I can't speak for them. I would imagine it was welcoming and also maybe not so welcoming. I mean, they certainly had the attention of everyone in the audience, but, it I would imagine kind of became the Robin show a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. Would you say that doing Mork and Mindy really like kind of helped you? I think from like progress, like everybody kind of gets that like that thing that kind of, okay, this is the boost because like, again, seeing you on what was that show? What was the show I named? The Match Game, right?
Oh my God.
Everybody go YouTube.
Okay.
Gina
I'm
Hecht.
just so curious where you're going with this, but okay, let's go down this road.
I think like, right. Like that kind of gives you a bit of buzz and a bit of shine. And there's so many shows like that pop up in the 70s and like that come and then they're able to put on actors and be like, okay, like this person is on right now, like this is an in-person right now, right? Like,
well,
help like
I'll tell you. Please go ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, help buzz the career, right? Like, help like give a little bit of shine, like as you're coming up. Like everybody would, like, I imagine like anybody like in that heyday was like looking to try and like get like a role like that, and like that seems like really like, I don't know if lucky or blessing or whatever, like how awesome it is to be involved with something like that and for it to like help your career like so early on. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yes, it does. And here is the difference. I don't know if it was a blessing. I mean, I guess it was. I'm certainly grateful for it. I didn't love my work on the show, so I was really conflicted. I was full of doubt. I didn't. I don't know. I mean, I look back on it now. I did they're doing a special on Robin. ABC is, and they asked if they could interview me. So I this was just last week, I think.
Okay. Oh, we're back. Are we back? Are we muted? Oh, Gina, you're muted. Are you okay? Let's see. I see a finger. What happened? This is so good that we pre-recorded this.
Okay.
We're back.
Okay, so here's what happened. I had a call that just came through.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm on my phone because I can't. Carol can't get the computer to work.
Well, we all know it wasn't. We all know it wasn't Don that was calling. So
Yeah, because he never turns on his phone.
Sorry. Does that? No. Now I'm getting weird feedback. Right.
You're getting feedback?
No.
We hear you.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we hear you clear. Yeah.
Whoa, that was weird. That was like morphed or something. I had to put in the charger because I realized I'm gonna run out of battery on this phone.
Oh no.
Anyway, so because I was doing this, because ABC asked me to do this special, I thought, God, they're gonna ask me questions. I haven't seen this show since it aired in 1979 and 1980. I mean, there's so much I couldn't tell you. Of course, I remember about Robin, but I couldn't tell you about specific episodes or what that time was like. So I went and ordered online because I knew my tapes were probably completely degraded by now. Right. So I went and ordered the DVDs online, and I started watching them, and they were some of them as bad as I remembered, and some of them not as bad. I'm just speaking about my performance. Right. Not as bad as I remember, but some of them as bad as I remember. But so silly. I'm not even going to go down that road. Never mind. What's the next question?
Terry, Jeff, any questions as we build our way up to like getting to Dave?
So then later on in your career, you were on like the first couple episodes of Seinfeld. Tell us about how was that?
So I did 3 episodes of Seinfeld. I coincidentally. Oh my God, I'm getting another phone call. Wait, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to do anything. Oh no, this is voicemail. Oh, good.
Okay.
Hello, Carol. So Seinfeld, coincidentally, the year before Seinfeld, I did a short live series, 10 episodes called Everything's Relative. That starred Jason Alexander.
Oh, wow.
And me,
George. Okay.
And a couple of other people. Jason and I became dearest friends during that run. Okay. Best friends. And I don't need to fill you in on all the details, but then when Seinfeld came out, I, along with every other gal my age in this town, auditioned for Elaine.
Okay.
So I auditioned for Elaine. Obviously didn't get Elaine. Then Then Jason was cast in it. As you probably know if you're fans, there were like 4 episodes that were done, the Seinfeld Chronicles, and then it got picked up for another short pickup. And then, anyway, it found its legs. I kept being brought in over and over for this part, didn't get it. Another part, didn't get it. Another part, didn't get it.
Oh my God.
I saw Jason had a party at his house, and I came over, and a lot of people from Seinfeld came over, and Jerry was there, and Larry, and I saw Jerry, and I said, "Hey, Jerry," and he said, "I'm so embarrassed. You have come in so many times. You're so good. We just haven't found quite the right part for you, but I can't even bring you in anymore. I'm so embarrassed." And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll let you know when I'm tired of coming in. Don't worry about it. I will come in until I'm not ready to come in anymore." And then they just called and offered me the role of Jason's therapist. So, I looked at it and I went, "Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll do that."
So that's how that happened. And then, that's how I wound up in that role.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Jeff, anything from you?
So I see you've had guest spots on so many great shows throughout the years.
All right,
Friends,
I cannot
The
hear
Middle.
Jeff at all. If you can understand him, that's fine. For some reason on my end, it's like he is some mastodon caught in the mud, and I can barely make it. It's like, that's all I hear.
Hear me better now?
Yeah, I wish you could hear it on my end. It's fantastic.
I got an idea. I might be able to fix this. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if you can hear him, you can translate.
Yeah. No, I'd rather him see what he can do real quick, because if not, we can just bring him back in.
It only happened after I screwed things up on
your end.
On my end.
Gina, you broke everything, huh? That's what you're saying.
Well, thank you.
Jeff, you're muted.
Yeah, unmute here.
Unmute your microphone. We can see it. There you go.
How about that? Any better?
Can you hear him, Gina?
No,
Gina?
now he's muted on my end. That is so weird. I wonder how I can undo this. Oh God, watch me try and fix this. This is not going to be a good idea.
Here we go. Hey,
sorry,
Jeff, I'm gonna remove you, but then call back in.
Got it.
Oh, that made it.
I'll be right.
Wow.
All right. We fix these things. That's how we do this.
Okay.
We do this.
I believe
improv
you.
stuff.
Okay. I believe you.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know I wonder what question Jeff had about.
Well, I don't know. I'm so curious.
I am too now.
Here, I'm gonna put my.
While we wait for him, what was what was it like now getting to be involved with Dave? Like how I'm eager. I want to hear. Oh, here we go. Before we get into this, Jeff is back.
All right.
Jeff,
how about now?
Can you hear him at all, Gina?
Anything?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
All right.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi. It's good to be able to talk to you this time.
Good to be heard.
So right. So my question was just, I saw that, you've got guest spots on so many amazing shows like Friends, The Middle, Castle's one of my favorites. I was just wondering if any one really stood out to you, or if you had a favorite one or anything like that.
Oh, that's an interesting question. There were some roles that allowed me to go to some deeper places that a lot don't allow. If I'm a doctor, if I'm a lawyer or judge or, whatever it may be, happy to have the job, but you just kind of service the material and, you're the professional. But there was a great role in CSI that I loved. And there was a great role in Medium. I'm just realizing in one, I accidentally killed my son, and in another, I killed somebody else's child, but they were trying to pin it on my son, who was played by Noel Fisher. Is that right? Noel Fisher? I think that's his name. God, terrible. And I just worked with him recently on an episode of Shameless, just coincidentally.
Another fantastic show you've been on.
Another fantastic show. But I guess those were the two that stand out to me just right off the top of my head.
For sure.
I think. Yeah.
We're with that. All right, so let's hit the main course. Jeff is here.
Yes.
How did you get involved with Dave, Gina? Like, let's hear the story from start to finish. We want all the things, all the juicy scoop.
Start to finish. Okay. They called me for an audition. I went in and I got it. There you go. How is that?
Well, thank you so much, Gina, for this time. Everybody,
thank you so much. All right.
Great podcast.
No, so I got an audition. I saw the breakdown. I know this is going to come as a shock. I hadn't heard of Little Dicky.
Little Dicky?
I don't know why. You know, I'm writing his demographic, so I don't know how he flew under my radar. But
yeah, went right over your head.
Just, you know, so I thought,
slipped through the cracks.
I wasn't even sure if he was a real person. You know, so I mean, it was the Untitled Little Dicky Project. That was the name of it. So I didn't know if this was just a made-up character. If it was I looked it up online.
Did you think you were a punk? Did you think you were being punked?
No, but I thought it was just a character, you know, created by a writer. You know, so I went online, looked up Little Dicky. In fact, he came up and some music videos came up. And I just looked at them and there were several, but I went to the one that had the most views. So I looked at that. That was Freaky Friday. So because when I went in the room, I just wanted to be able to look at the person that was Dave Bird instead of the person that was Jeff Schaefer. You know, I mean, although I knew Jeff Schaefer, but you know, I wanted to be able to identify him and address him. So I saw what he looked like, and I thought the video was so good and so creative. And I thought, wow, this is really a talented guy. And so I told, so I went in, did the audition. The material was terrific. Dave, I went in with kind of a bigger character than I ended up doing for Carol. And you know, as soon as I started, I walked in the room and he said, "Oh my God, she looks like my mom," or "You look like my mom." And I thought, okay, now if I could just not
fuck it up.
The show rated. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
So
loose all the curses.
Okay. So I just thought, if I just don't fuck this up, I may get this show. You know, and it was a pilot, and you know, who knew? And I didn't know from FXX and you know what that meant exactly or how many there were. But anyway, I thought the material was very good, and so he stopped me 2 sentences. And he said, "No, just do you. Don't do a voice. Don't do this. It doesn't. You know, she's from the East Coast, but don't really have an accent, and just do that." I said, "Okay, all right." So I started over, and we did it, and there were just a few things that I added that I just decided I'm just going to go for this. So there were some things that I didn't change the dialogue. I just added a few things. So one of the things that I added was the script was. So what I auditioned for was the first scene that you saw in the first episode, which is when he calls from the bank.
When he calls his parents for the bar mitzvah.
And we're in the car. So
yes.
He says, I just want you to let you know I'm withdrawing $10,000 from the bank. And I think my line was, why are you withdrawing the money or something like that? And he says, I'm withdrawing, $10,000 from the bank. And I said, oh God, what's wrong? Because
he said nothing's wrong.
But that was not scripted. But Dave went right along with it. The room laughed, and Dave went, "Mom, nothing's wrong." I mean, so he was so fast on his feet with me. And then I said another line that didn't make it in, but a line that my daughter suggested, which was when he does his bar mitzvah money, and then I said something about, "Oh God, what's wrong?" He said nothing, something, and I said something about you're pissing on the Torah or something like that. And in the room, Dave said, "Ma, I'm not pissing on the Torah. It's my money. I'm just taking my money out. This is a great opportunity," whatever it was. But anyway, we had a lot of fun in the room. I left the room feeling, really good about the audition. We worked well together. I just felt that there was kind of a chemistry between us that was really lovely. Anyway, I came back and I told my daughter something about that I had this audition and that I looked him up, and I said he has, because I just couldn't believe it. I said he has 500,000 views on Freaky Friday on this, and she said, "What?" And she looked it up and she said, "Mom, he doesn't have 500,000 views. He has 500 million views." No. I said, "Bailey, that's not a thing. What do you mean 500? That's not a thing that someone has." And she went, "That's a thing, and that's what he has." And I thought, who is this guy? So then I started, because I thought I just adored him immediately in that room. And of course, I didn't know him as a rapper, and I saw the video, and I thought, well, he's charming and he's very talented, but I really didn't know him. But then after I had that audition with him, I just thought there was just a sweetness about him, and I just was immediately kind of drawn to him. And so then it was just a waiting game, and I looked at subsequently more and I thought, God, I don't even want to look at more videos, because if I don't get this, I don't want to I don't want to know what I'm missing out on. So but then I just thought, okay, just do it. So then I don't remember if I started watching things with the most views or whatever, because there were a lot of choices, but then I watched Molly, and I was just,
oh my God,
I just thought, oh my God, so he's so fucking funny here and so frigging touching here. And I just thought
that song is so, it's so polar opposite, especially with each one. Just like, one is one of the funniest things that we see, and it's a dichotomy of like him in being a famous R&B star, where the other one is like, it's basically it's the Alley thing, right? It's her name is Molly, right? And that is his ex. And like the music, like the song in itself, if you close your eyes and like just listen to it, it in and of itself is its own beautiful thing. That's its sadness. And when you watch the music video, me and Jeff often do it, like when we hang out just for fun, we'll watch Lil Dicky stuff, and like it's heart-wrenching every single fucking time. Like, and I don't want to give away the music video for anybody that's never seen it, but like just in the first minute when it's misdirection, and you're just like, oh no, like, my
it's
dude,
so
like,
smart, and it's just so, it's so good. It's so good. I did not know at the time how much he had to do with all of those. I mean, obviously I knew he was an artist, so I knew that he probably wrote his own material and his own songs and so forth. He does everything. It is his vision. Every music video is his vision from start to finish. It doesn't mean that people don't come in
and have
ideas. With their ideas and their thoughts, and he's certainly willing to listen to all of them. I mean, he is a great artist, and when you're a great artist, you understand the value and importance of of the team coming together and working on this, this art project as a collaborative effort.
Right.
And so he's very open to things like that. But the bottom line is, it is ultimately his. It's just, he does every part of the show. I don't know how he does it. I mean, I know I don't even know how many hours he gets to sleep when he's doing the show. I would imagine not. I mean, I know that he will not, and I get this because I don't either. He doesn't want to and will not settle for something that is not how he sees it going. He wants to do it until it's right in his, you know, in his creative mind.
Yeah, according to his vision, that makes sense. So when you're auditioning for all this, let's walk through the timelines. This is 2019, 2018.
Well, I think it was the summer of 2018.
Okay.
That we shot the pilot.
Oh shit.
And then and then it got picked up, I think in February maybe of 2019.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we started shooting, I think in maybe July or August of 2019. It aired
February of 2020.
And then they went back into the pandemic in March. So I don't think it aired in February. You probably know it better than I do, but I'm pretty sure the premiere was in March, like early March. And then it wasn't, but weeks later that we went into this pandemic and then this lockdown. While the shows were airing, but then it pushed the writer's room back, and then the writer's room became virtual for this past season.
Okay.
So they were in a situation like we are right now, where it was just this, you know, everybody was just working from their home in this virtual writer's room.
Right. Because it aired. I think maybe the first episode. I think it aired the very last week of February because it was going in. I think they were going into March with it, and I think I remember breaking it down with Jeff around that, like right before the pandemic, and it might have even been that first week of March. I don't know one thing.
It was episode 3 or 4 where it was at the point where we couldn't even meet in person anymore.
Yeah, we started doing virtual. We started doing virtual.
Yeah.
So that's how early on I think Dave actually was released, and it was released before like all that everything. Then I remember the second season got picked up in the midst of the pandemic.
Yep.
And so it was like literally like 7 days or 2 weeks after the first season got released. Like they started announcing like Dave season 2 being picked up, and for me and Jeff, like we were very like we had we're Little Dicky fans, but like we were very much like, oh, I don't see why there wouldn't be 10 more seasons. Like this show is fucking phenomenal. Like it's every single episode is its own individual thing. But that's so interesting, like that they had to like, and that makes sense, like, right? Like it got picked up during the pandemic for season 2, and like they'd have to meet virtually like this. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Any questions, anybody, so far before I start?
My question is, how was filming during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Well, you know, as you can imagine, challenging.
I can imagine better than these guys because I have my own IMDb low credits. I do background stuff every now and then.
Cool. Yeah.
That's the most whatever. I
do. Cool. Well, so it was it was challenging, and at first a little I think we were kind of concerned, David Paymer and I, a little bit, you know. I think David even a little more than I was, but you know, you're told you're in this age group that is more susceptible and more in danger and all this. I don't feel like I am because I've been fortunate enough to be very strong and athletic, and you know, I just feel very healthy. I've never had any real health issues. Yes, who's there? But still with this was still in the time where they were saying wash your hands and sing happy birthday twice while you're washing your hands. So I think they were uncertain of how you got this. This is my husband and I were spraying down everything with alcohol, leaving the mail out for 3 days because it was like, could just the tiniest little something put you at death's door, put you on a ventilator, kill you.
Yeah, we don't want
that. I slap on a mask and, obviously I'm vaccinated, but also once we understood how you can get it, then I was very clear and I felt very comfortable in certain situations. The only time that I was not completely comfortable was the scene. I mean, now looking back, I was fine and our COVID coordinator was fantastic. But it was the scene in the mall in the Birds episode.
Yeah.
And the mall was not locked down. So going back to the first episode we appeared in, the Doja Cat this season, we were in an outside mall and we were in stores, but any place that we were surrounded by our background people. There were, it wasn't just regular. So it was a closed set. It was a closed set. So that was fine. I had no concerns. It was very interesting because you'd be in a scene with someone. As soon as they yelled cut, the COVID coordinator was there saying, put on your mask, put on your mask.
Everybody put on their mask.
But I was just talking to these people. I was just in a scene with Dave and David Paymer. They said, mask on, mask on, mask on. I was like, oh, yeah,
you're like, I get it. Yeah, sure, whatever.
You bring out your mask and put it on. And I mean, it seemed kind of silly, but I get it. And I felt very protected. The very first shot we did of the episode, and it may have been I don't know if it was the first shot of them going back to the season. When we started season 1, we were the first shot of of the series.
Okay.
And we were up, and it was actually, I think it was the flashback to when he was young and he was on the phone with the girls, and I came in and they were talking about his threesome. Yeah. So I think that was it. I walked outside and Dave was just lying down on the grass and he said, this is my favorite thing we've ever shot, ever. And he said, I love you guys. This is my favorite thing we've ever shot. And I said, I love that. I love you. This is the first thing you've ever shot. So there's not a lot to compare it to. He said, no, but I mean, even of the pilot, I mean, of everything. And I went, okay, all right, but it's your first day.
But he loved it.
But he was so excited. He was so excited and so thrilled. And, I can imagine, this is something he's always envisioned for himself. And there it was. But jumping back real quick to the pandemic. So when we were in the mall, the Birds episode, and I left inside the store where Dave and Don were picking out clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a closed set, and those were our background people. When I went into the mall and I stopped by this counter with lipstick or whatever,
you got the makeover.
We did not have the mall closed off. So people were coming in and out. Not everyone had masks on. It was, I felt a little uncertain about the safety of that, but they weren't very close to me. And it was a big, wide open space. And, our COVID coordinator was right. I mean, they really weren't anywhere near me. And anyone that was close to me had been tested and so forth. I mean, we were under strict safety protocols. We were tested
almost every 3 days or something.
Yes. There are some shows that would test every day. We tested like if I was down for a week or so, whatever, when I came back, I would have to test 2 days before, and then that day, and then we were tested Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we would, so it was constantly. So yes, so that's how that went. So while I was shooting Dave this season, we did the episode with Doja Cat, and then we were down, and then I was going back to do the Birds episode. Right before I did that episode, I was cast in Shameless, and it was just one day. Went to Shameless. This is a long story. You don't need to hear this. Let me just make it really quick. Bottom line was, I tested positive that morning that I went to Shameless. They did a rapid. I did I didn't have it.
Oh
shit! They did
Okay.
the PCR, whatever it is, the gold standard on Friday. I got clearance from Warner Brothers to work Sunday night. They gave me clearance. I showed up Monday morning. They do a rapid. The rapid tested positive. I was sent home. I called the Dave COVID coordinator. I said, I just tested positive. I don't think I have this. I have no signs. I live with my husband and daughter. We don't see anyone. We are cloistered. And he said, go and get another test. So I went and got another test. They did a PCR. We had to wait overnight to get that back. I said, I want to get a rapid. They said, Disney probably won't pay for it. I said, I'll pay for it because I know I don't have this. They did a rapid, came back positive. I went, oh my God. Oh my God. So I sent my husband and daughter out to get tested. I said, I guess I have it. I can't believe this. I have no symptoms. They had no symptoms. They went out, they got tested. They were negative. I spent 10 days in an extra room in the house. I wore a mask everywhere. I wasn't with my family. Every test, so that PCR came back negative. I subsequently had 7 other PCRs, all negative. I never had it. They did antibody tests. They did all these freaking tests on me. People came out in hazmat suits to get my blood. I must have had something in my nose that triggered the rapids, but that the PCR went, this isn't COVID.
You're good.
I mean, it's the only thing I can figure out, but it pushed Dave's back because once you test positive, you don't work for 10 days. That's it.
God.
So it didn't shut down any production.
Okay.
But it did push Dave back. They then changed. God, you can just imagine what a nightmare this is. They then moved other episodes, other shots up, took care of that, pushed the Birds episode back. Then Shameless had to wait for me to finish the Birds episode, and then they didn't recast me. I don't know why. Then I went and picked up the day on Shameless. But I was so paranoid. Every time I got a test from that point on, I was just shaking. I thought, oh God, what if, whatever it was, I test positive again.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But I think Dave had to shut down twice, 2 weeks each time. No one got sick from being on the set of Dave, but from what I understand, people that worked on it, I don't know if they came on and guested on it or whatever, tested positive. And because Dave is there and is there for every scene, even if he's not in it, he is watching every take, every setup, everything. And since he was there and whoever it was tested positive, they then had to isolate everyone. And
that's insane.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Wow. Crazy times.
What a time to be shooting a TV show.
Yeah. It was just horrible. And the cost of every PCR, the cost of the meals that had to be individually wrapped and given to people is no more, what do you want? And serving people, from everything was sanitized and wrapped and done. And, I know what I was going to tell you. So the very first day that we worked, we were in in the Doja episode, we were in the car driving while Dave was texting, and Paymer and I were in the front seat and Dave was in the back seat. And that's when I knew things would be okay, because there we were, all of us in a car without masks on, but we had all tested. We were all negative. We were all, I mean, I know David Paymer and I were secluded. I mean, we weren't going to the store. We were not going anywhere. And the people that came, anybody near the actors had to be double masked. They would have on a mask and a shield.
Oh,
anywhere
nice.
near the actors. That was the protocol, because they had to protect us because we couldn't have our masks on. So if the director came up to give notes, mask and shield. In makeup, mask and shield. It was, I felt very taken care of and as safe as they could possibly be.
They took their precautionary measures like very seriously.
Very seriously. Yeah.
I've got a question. Like, how I was listening to an interview with Gata on a podcast, and he was talking about kind of the more liberties that he's able to have with the script. Like, what's that like with you and David Paymer? Because y'all's interaction seems so like
genuine.
Real.
Like y'all been married for over 30 years.
Well, sure. I must tell you, the scripts are so good, and they really have our voices. So it's easy in that regard. Every once in a while, we will come up with something. It's not while the cameras are rolling. It is talked about. It is, I have this idea, or what do you think of this? Or here's an alternative line. And they will either go with the script, or let's try that. I like it. So it's not improvised while the cameras are rolling. It may be improvised a little bit before we shoot it, but then once we do it, we stick with that for every take. Over and over, we end up doing that.
Like settling in on that.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, like the car ride. So Paymer and I, before season 2 started, we talked and we got together on Zoom, and we just said, what do you think about this? And what about this? And how about this scene? And what do you think here? And, so we just found some great things, but we could have done, 15 minutes on the car ride there, right. But we found all these different things about Carol's misunderstanding about, we went down this rabbit hole of, I can't remember how we got there, what it was, but it was, it was about, him or something. We went to the wedding, and I said, you thought that he looked like that
an anime
guy. Yeah, exactly.
Like an anime.
Anime. And he said, what? And I said, like anime. He's not a real person. He's anime. He said, that's not anime. I said, well, then what is it? He's not a real person. He said, well, that's whatever it is, CGI or something. I said, okay, right. Whatever it is, he wasn't, that Gollum thing wasn't a real person. And we went down all these kind of rabbit holes that I thought might be Carol and getting things wrong. And
I was gonna say that conversation in the car, like on first glance, if anybody were to watch the episode, right? Like, and so this is a Doja Cat episode. It's called "Somebody Date Me," and it's the scene where Dave's in the car, he's texting back and forth Doja Cat, right? But if you just listen to the conversation that you and David Paymer have, it's one of the most like hilarious bits that cuts in and goes back and forth, and he's like, no, he had the 3 tattoos and you thought they were gills, Don. And he's just like, no.
Right. Yes. Right. Exactly.
Paying attention to just like little things like that.
They had something about IKEA, and Don said something about, Don said, this was scripted. It was like IKEA, and Don said something about the meatballs are made of horse or something. And I said, the meatballs are not made of horse. And then I said, Siri, oh God, wait, I shouldn't say this because my phone's going to go off. But that's when I said something about Siri, what are the,
ingredients in the IKEA meatballs.
Yeah. Or is there horse? Is there horse in the meatballs at IKEA or something like that?
It's not onions, carrots, and horse, Don.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Oh,
I've seen that episode too many times. I'm telling you. What about again, I think I'm going to go back to one of the most infamous scenes, the YG scene. That's all scripted.
That was all scripted. The only thing that I added to that, it was all scripted. The only thing I added is it Korean? Because I thought that was the only thing I added. But the is it YG like a question, or is it Y.G? That was all scripted. But then I just thought, if you don't look at, because I wasn't seeing it, so if you don't look at how it's spelled out, it could be WIE, because if you just hear YG, you think it's, I mean, it's Asian, something Asian, right? I mean, I don't know. So
is he a Korean rapper? Yeah.
We laughed so hard at that line.
I just tried
Blake was
it,
in
and
tears.
They seemed to like it, so we kept it. But these writers, I mean, I honestly, I mean, I should take very little credit for those things, because Jeff Schaefer, Saladin, Love, and Dave. Dave oversees it all. And I mean, Dave wrote that brilliant last episode, the second season.
Oh my God.
I mean,
man, come on.
How brilliant is that? So, yeah. And let me tell you one thing about Gata. So, Gata, I meet this guy at the read-through of the pilot.
Okay.
And the network is there, and there must be 30 people in this room. And then we're at the table, and I listen to this guy, and he is so friggin' good. And he obviously reads his stuff, but then he reads, I don't know, another rapper. I don't know if it was YG or, who it was supposed to be, but he reads that part also. And he did it different than how he did Gata. So I go home and I'm looking up. At first I looked in the script, and I looked up Gata, and then I looked up Deviante. Gander. Yeah, Deviante. So I looked up Deviante. I went to IMDb, cannot find this guy. I'm going. So then I asked Dave if he would like me to go to the bank set when they were at the bank to make his end of the phone call to us. I said, let me come and I'll just read my lines off screen for you. So it's not just a script supervisor.
So it kind of has some real,
So I just thought, yeah, exactly. So I thought it might be helpful. He said, would you do that? I said, I would be happy to do that. So I go to the bank. Gata showed up because he was shooting a scene later, I guess, near that location. I run up to him and I said, I cannot find you on IMDb. Why? What name are you listening? He said, no, I'm not on IMDb. I said, why not? And he said, well, I'm not an actor. I said, what? I said, of course you are. I said, no, that's not what I do. I'm just playing me. I said, no. First of all, he's standing with this huge guy. I don't know if he's another rapper. When I say huge, he is probably 3 of Gata's. Gata's so small. And, I walk up and I throw my arms. So Carol, I walk up and throw my arms around Gata. I'm sure this is not how he's usually approached by someone, but that's how he was approached. I said, listen to me. I don't ever want to hear you're not an actor again. You just, that just needs to be erased from your dialogue. Not ever again. He said, no, but I'm just playing me. I said, no. I said, let me tell you something. I could put you in a suit and tie and have you be like a broad, like a some banker or like genius at Merrill Lynch or some broker or some lawyer or whatever. I said, you could do any of that. And he looked at me, paused, and he went, Yeah, you're right. I said, I know I am. I said, trust me, I've been doing this a long time. And so from day one, I knew
what he had
fabulous young man was all about.
He has two of the most touching moments, like right in in both seasons. Like
Please.
the hype man episode, like in and of itself, is one of the most amazing episodes of television.
Yeah.
And then the moment of this last episode, right, where you see him just before he comes up, like the most touching moments of the whole like fucking series is Gata. Like that is the most immaculate thing. And I heard him on an interview too. He was like, "I'm not
Allie. Allie. And Allie, but listen, with Gata, Allie, what you're leaving out is Dave, because their moments alone, I mean, talented, but it's also how we see that through the eyes of Dave and how affected we are, so yes, please go on about Gata. He deserves all the attention for sure. Really, I mean that sincerely. I wasn't throwing that away.
I mean, hearing him in interviews and like him not doing any other acting things prior to this, like brutally impressed me. First of all, I'm not an actor, but like as somebody that like avidly watches like entertainment, right? Like I'm just the average consumer. I would have never have guessed that this would have been his first acting chops, like ever. And to your point of like the vision of like what Dave does, I'll be brutally honest. Like 4 episodes into the second season, I was like not really about it. Like I was like, I don't know what Dave's doing. Like I don't really like how Dave's making Dave look. I don't really like what's going on. But you know what? He did great. He did great by me with the first season. I'm here for the long haul. We do a podcast about the show. We're not just gonna stop after 4 episodes. And every episode after that, I was like, oh. Okay, well, I'm glad I stayed along because every single one paid off.
Episode made those first 4 so perfect because when you're watching them like that one at a time, you don't realize you're seeing them on their own. You're not realizing they're part of this bigger picture that is the season itself, and it was just so brilliantly done.
Yeah,
all together.
Yeah. So the first 3. So it was Korea, and then was it
international Gander, Antsy, the Benny episode, which I forget the title, and then the 4th episode is the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. So did it start to turn for you on the Kareem episode? Did you go, okay, we're back to the feeling of
not yet, not until we got to Bar Mitzvah. Like when it got to Bar Mitzvah, I was like, oh. All right. Well, I see I see why we needed all of that because Dave for me, like. In those first 4 episodes, he's creating this atmosphere, like now looking back of like, okay, I am this rapper who has nothing really. Like I'm fooling even my friends and fooling them to let them know that I have music that I don't. So I'm kind of having imposter syndrome. I don't have any music. I can't put anything together. The ants, obviously, as you look back now, like represent his anxiety in creating everything. And he just can't. Like episode 2 is like the fulcrum point of like where you see like that's he's just lost. Like he's not doing much, and he's so lost that like he goes over to Benny Blanco, who is a platinum producer and still doesn't make anything. Like just has a tomfoolery of a time. It is Dave being Dave at his most Dave, and then I think Gator calls it out, right? It's like y'all just like are embracing y'all's white privilege. Like y'all are just you're being aloof for no reason because you have money and like you don't have anything to do. When Dave has everything to do. And then episode 4 is like you look. I couldn't get a read on it until you see the whole episode. But that whole episode's about him just trying to be a good person, like trying to put this front out that he is a good person. And Kareem is just like he's trying to impress Kareem, and Kareem is just like, I'm just gonna write like a small blog on like why you did a music video about me. Like that was it. Like, but it's this whole bigger thing, and it's this whole bigger thing with Allie too. But those episodes, it was creating this atmosphere about Dave that like there's too much tension. There's so many tense moments in those episodes. There's too much tension. People don't like Dave. Like they don't like the way that Dave's coming across. Even some guy that just met him who he's like he wrote a song about doesn't even really like him. Nobody really likes him, and he's not being likable. And it wasn't until episode 5 where that started to turn for me. that's why those first 4 episodes didn't settle with me until I got to episode 5.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I nerded out. I just nerded out with Gina Hecht. Oh man, Terry, Jeff, don't let me take this over. Any? I know there's a whole bunch of burning questions somewhere in there.
So I have a question and a comment. My question is, because I have trouble with this whenever we're talking about the episodes, is the Gaeta we see in the episode in the show, is that a character or is that him? Because I know he's playing himself, so I always have an issue being like, well, Gaeta's my favorite character, but it feels wrong to call him a character when he is Gaeta.
A real person, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I can't fully answer that because I don't really know him in real life, but I mean, I adore him. And, you know, we only had, I guess that, you know, that the little bit of time that we had together when Dave came home in the first series, in the first season, where he came home and, you know, at the dinner table, and that was a lot of fun. And so
company chicken.
And so we, you know, we spent some time together then, and you know, I see him because we'll come and go from the makeup trailer together,
right.
You know, that sort of thing. So I'm crazy about him. I just adore him. But if I will take it from what I heard, which is really this is who they are. This is who they are together. This has been their journey. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly their journey, but ups and downs, they have stuck together. Gaeta has stuck with him. I think Gaeta believed in him from the get-go, and I think they truly love one another. I mean, I think what you see is genuine, is what you get 100%.
That's really great. I mean, and you always love hearing that. I mean, when you were talking about Robin earlier, when you're talking about Gaeta and Dave now, it makes, I mean, as just a normal person, I feel like more of a connection when someone that I love on a TV show is lovable in life. And, you know,
100%. The only thing that, you know, what I don't know is his life with his family, that relationship, like in the last episode with, you know, why are you giving her? I'm the older one. Why are you signing it? That I don't know how real that is. But everything else,
that's so great.
Yeah.
And then the comment I was going to make is actually about the Birds episode in the mall. I'm a very anxious person in my own life and everything. So that scene where Carol goes to sit down in that chair and then like falls, and I thought it was such an amazing scene. I thought you did such a great job of, without verbalizing it, with showing how just like they're all just little things that are happening to Carol, but then how those things together really just weighed on her and the anxiety she got from it. To the point where when Carol has her outburst with Donna, I was like, oh yeah, 100%. That makes absolute sense to me. And just compliments to you, because I thought that your performance during that scene was just
phenomenal,
out of the park. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think she was just humiliated. You know, Dave, actually, it was written for me to cry after that. And maybe I should have, but
no.
Well, here's the thing. I knew where Dave was going to be in this episode, and I knew where Paymer was going to be in this episode, and I knew where Allie was going to be. And I just thought, you don't need to see one more person in that vein, you know, going to that place. So, I just took my humiliation to, I mean, it was also written that I got angry. It was also written that I burst into that store. Listen, I'm glad you felt that way, because when I was doing it, I wasn't really screaming when I came in, and Dave said, no, scream from the door. And I went, even in this store? And he went, yes. And I went, okay, here we go. So, you know, that's what I did. And what you didn't get to see, here's what you missed in that episode. So you then saw us in the parking lot.
There was a a trailer for the episode, but they didn't include the scene.
Yeah. And they didn't include also when we're at the dinner table early on with him saying, "Shuck my corn, mama," or whatever. So there was, you have to lose your babies sometimes. And there was no, I mean, I don't look at that episode and go, well, they should have cut that instead of this. I understand editing and I understand a time crunch, but I was just sad that we didn't see like all the joy that happened in the first dinner scene, the real fun where everything was good, right. Where everything was good and loving, where you saw my love for Don, and that, I guess I went to my character because I felt Carol seemed a little harsh maybe, but I mean, it was, I think it was probably correct, but I was sorry to see that go. And then you see me walk up to the car. I'm so fucking pissed at them. I've got water. I'm drenched from this thing. I open the trunk. He puts the things in. And you also missed that I'm pissed at Don for renting a 2-door sports car while we're out here. That was the setup earlier when he comes to move in. I said, your father rented a 2-door sports car. And Don says something about there's a back seat. And he said, there's 2 of us. I said, does Dave not live here? Does he not? Isn't this why we're here?
Right.
So then the payoff for that is then when Don tries to squeeze in because there's not a back door, and a rear door. Great. It was so, and David Paymer was so friggin' funny doing this. I can't even tell you how funny he was. And Dave Bird was saying, "Come on, Dad, you can do it." I'm yelling at him, "Don't encourage him. Why hurt himself?" And I kept saying, "Let me just get out. Let me get out, and I can open the door and put the seat up, and you can get in." No, I'm fine. He says, "I'm fine." I was like, "Okay, whatever." So yeah, you missed. There was a lot that had to be.
Oh, payoff for that. So amazing.
Yeah,
I've got two additional questions as we round this out, Gina. One, had you ever met Dave's parents, or had he talked about them at lengths with you or anything like that?
No, I mean, I met them at season 1 premiere. That's when I first met them.
So not even before that?
No.
Oh, wow.
No. And I asked a little bit about them, but the truth was the scripts came to me and they were so clear to me in the writing who they were that I felt to know them more would just mess me up as an actress trying to fulfill something. I mean, the script was so clear, clear to me. Her cadence, how she would think about things, how she would say things, how she felt about it, that but I did meet them. I didn't spend a lot of time with his dad, but I did take his mom off to the side and we chatted for a little bit. I really liked her, but she was funny. She had, she was lovely. I don't know how much I should say, but she kind of had these feelings about, why does Dave have to always talk about his penis? And it's like, I don't know. He got me. So that's very Carol. I mean, when I was walking down and I said, he said something about you're not very supportive. And I said, I want to show my friends your music, but when I listen to it, and he says, I feel shame.
I feel shame when
and it was like
it's always penis this and dick that.
Yeah. Somebody sucked me.
I just remember after we did the first episode, to be quite honest, it was me and Jeff, and I was like, I don't know if they have met the parents. I'm like, I've never met Dave's parents, but I've listened to his album. Like, I'm a huge Little Dicky fan. And there's interludes and cuts on his first album with like him recording like just conversations with his parents from the phone.
I don't know about this.
And so it's his first album. If you ever want to
get
listen
his first
to
album.
And
not taking notes.
I think you know a guy, so.
But I think I'll be buying that.
I remember telling Jeff, I was just like, I've listened to his entire album, and the cuts that they have, the cadence of like these two actors that they got to play Dave's parents, it's quite incredible. Like the similarities, like them, like they've copied, like the cadence is on point, the way they talk, the way they say questions and stuff. Everything seems to be on point. And so it was just incredible to see that like y'all had not met. Just hearing that now.
No.
So and that was a question. And then the second one would be obviously the episode of the birds, where there's a lot of focus on you. And there's a moment, I think the moments of that episode where it's very like you are calling out Don, like right at the mall scene, but then you have one of the most important scenes where you call out Dave, and you're just like, you're selfish. Like you woke me up. Like I was sleeping. You made company chicken.
I don't like
you.
Chicken.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear the last part. Say it.
Oh, I was just saying, like you just quoting right, like Carol from the episode, right? Like you saying you made company chicken. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like that is a you thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a powerful moment from that this season, though. But we really get to see kind of Carol in her own and kind of like.
But when you think about Dave calling himself out. I mean, he is such an interesting guy. He is willing to say, he is willing just to say, yeah, this is who I am. I'm selfish. I'm in my own head. I don't always think about others. And yet, just right there is him caring deeply about other people and really listening and taking their feelings into account. And the other side of that is not listening to anyone and just going with his vision.
Doing whatever he wants.
But he was, he wrote that. So,
it's your delivery, but it's his
mother,
writing.
For his mother and father to call him out.
It's very fascinating. It's very it's so good as we get to that episode before we get to the Enlightened Dave episode, right? Like I start just having all these realizations and people start to just kind of be honest with them. It was just a powerful episode. I think it was one of our favorite episodes.
Absolutely.
From the season.
that whole part where Carol is calling him out like that, it's literally something that we as the audience were waiting for the entire season.
Oh, interesting.
It was really powerful for that to happen. And and as you were saying, Dave being not Dave the character, Dave the actual person being, I don't know if I would have the courage or the confidence to put that out there literally to the entire world the way he did. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So. All right, Jeff, Terry, any final questions as we round this out? I mean, this has been so enlightening for me. Right. I feel like enlightened Blake.
So, what can
without having to go through the mushroom trip or whatever it is,
the float tank, yeah.
So, my question: what can you potentially tell us about season 3?
I know nothing. I don't even know if there's going to be a season 3. I mean, I really don't.
It's not been announced yet.
Is. I can't imagine with a show this good that there wouldn't be,
right?
But you don't know. I'm sure it's a very expensive show to produce. I don't know. I mean, as you can see, they cut no corners. I mean, that episode. First, I love the last 3. I love the last 4 episodes. I love when you go back to Ad Man. I love. I mean, listen. I love them all. It's like trying to pick which child you love more. But
everybody's got their favorites, though.
That last episode, I can't even imagine how much that episode cost. I mean, it was gorgeous.
It looked like a VMA performance,
right? And that was all on
sound
stage. They just built that, and I mean, my God.
That's amazing.
that caught. I mean, anyway. And then I also thought the, Enlightened Dave, the cost of that also. I have no idea. I just know that I look at the sets, I look at the background, I look at, I just kind of go ka-ching, 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 I mean, it's, I mean, really. But Dave has a vision and he's right. You've just got to go, how can you deny him his vision when time after time he puts out something that is perfect? That is exactly right. So, I mean, I would just never question. How can you question it? He just seems to have a vision that is spot on.
Yeah.
I love him. In case it wasn't clear.
We've been wondering.
I feel like he is my child. I mean, I really do. I truly do. I look at him as a son. I just adore him.
That's fantastic.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Gina, I want to thank you for just taking some time on this Friday and coming on and
my pleasure.
Being so awesome to speak with. And hopefully if there is a season 3, like we get to have you on again and
I would love that.
And yeah, it would be great. Again, thank you so much. You've had an awesome career.
My pleasure.
I'll wrap this up. If you just want to hang on, we'll wrap this up and say our goodbyes off camera. But everybody, go ahead and shout yourself out. Jeff, where can people follow you if they want to talk Dave with you?
You can try and find me on Facebook. Look up Jeff Madel. You can try and Skype me at Don Cheadle's driveway at littledickie2.com. Because of the hackers. Dave's email address from season 1, and it was so funny. I had to use that. And while Austin's still in stage 5, if you see me in public, please stay 6 feet away from me.
Yes. Yeah. Terry, where can people find you online if they want to reach out to you and talk to you about Dave or Atlanta or anything else?
As always, they can go to my Instagram at terryfphotos. Or, come and see me down in Denver at Starbuds DU location.
Go say hi to him. Go check out some buds. You can follow me, Money Blakeweather, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's all Money Blakeweather. It's all right here on the screen. You can follow the podcast, Unfiltered Bachelor, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or you can follow it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, anywhere podcasts are. That's where the show is. I do appreciate you tuning in to every episode leading up to this episode. And whether you're listening to this on the replay, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're hearing this, I do appreciate you. And until the next time, we will see you. Peace.